All right, and welcome to a new season of Touring Fan Live and a new episode of another unnecessary list. This is the fifth time that we have done a live rundown of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and this year there's no difference. We're gonna get right into it because I have a lot of opinions, and we sure as hell know Brian does as well.
Oh,
But,
yay. Excited that you have a lot of opinions
oh
because
yeah,
I also do have a lot of opinions. Yes.
Now, we just did a major update. Listen, this is the one thing I hate about technology. We did a huge update on my soundboard and the app I use. So I'm trying to make sure that we don't have an echo. So while I'm testing something, Brian, why don't you to give me a little update on how things are going on in your world?
Wow. So busy, to be honest. I just lots of posters that I've just finished up that are releasing. I did a Wilco poster for the opening of their spring tour last week, and I've got another one dropping Monday for a show in Kansas, and then next week I did the poster for the Afghan Wigs homecoming show, their 40th anniversary tour. They're playing at Bogarts in Cincinnati, so I did the poster for that show, and just busy. Stuff coming for summertime and summer tours and things like that. So yeah, lots of artwork coming, and then of course the sadness that is Gallery 1988 announcing that they're closing at the end of this month. Tomorrow will be the last day of the gallery. They're going to be selling off everything that they have, and so it's a really sad time, I think, for me and for a lot of artists and art lovers that have patronized that gallery for over 20 years. I mean, they were one of the first pop culture galleries to really start in that space, and then you had like Spoke Art and Hero Complex Gallery and places like that. So they made it last for as long as they could, and they really put in a great effort, and they really gave a lot of artists kind of their first stop, first opportunity to show in a gallery and do things like that. So um, it's sad to see it go, but I think they did a really good job. So
And I know
my hats off to Gallery 1988.
that they've had your daughter's artwork in there as well a few times.
Yeah, she actually sold her first piece was she did a doll for one of the Crazy for Cult shows, and she made a doll when she was in high school of the girl from Heathers
Okay.
after she had after the school had blown up and everything, and she ended up selling it and was really excited. And then she made another doll that didn't sell, and then it actually sold when they had announced their first discounting of things. They had discounted 40%, and that doll sold. So yeah, that was kind of her first foray into being an artist, and she is actually getting ready to graduate from college next week, and she
What?
is. Yes, and she is to this day an artist and very creative. So yeah, it was her first foray into the art world, which was really cool. So
Well,
it's a
kudos to
really
you and
it's a
her.
really yeah, thank you. It's a really special, I think, place, and it gave a lot of people the opportunity to show to a wider audience, and really launched a lot of different artist careers. So it's really great what they were able to do.
Well, no, that's fantastic. It is. I do feel there's a shift in the art world when it comes to pop culture art and concert poster art. Um, this is just coming from a consumer side, as you can tell from this room and how we met and everything like that. It was definitely
Hmm.
through that medium. And it's interesting seeing now, like, a lot of the bigger artists that have been well known for years aren't nearly doing as much as they did in the past. And there's a lot coming up that are doing it, but a lot of the galleries and the websites that were so hot and heavy from the early 2000s to right up until COVID. It
Hmm.
was tough during COVID time, and it was really
Yeah,
hard to keep that
absolutely.
ball rolling.
Hmm.
And I feel like there was just a shift in the collection market because I had a great conversation with a friend of mine this past weekend that came to visit me for my birthday, and I feel as though a lot of the people that as they get older, speaking for myself and him, we're really just trying to downsize because we just get so much. And I
Yeah.
found myself over the last few shows just walking past a merch booth and really not getting anything. Or I used to be really hot and heavy on emails and getting these posters or these collectibles or these art pieces, and I got to the point where I had to decide, like, well, if I get something, I'm gonna have to replace it with something, and then that became,
Hmm.
it's just sad. I mean, but I get it, and hopefully that shift that changes, because there is, I do feel, and we'll talk about that in a little bit later on, about this new kind of upbringing, and or not even the upbringing, like this new way of music, and these new artists and this new fan
Hmm.
base and this younger generation, and I feel like it comes in waves, and I really do feel like there's this new wave of fan base and of music and stuff that I think could really jump in and dive in and get into it like we did back in our younger years. I can say that now because I'm 41 and I'm starting to feel it in my back.
No,
Um,
I mean, I agree. It's really cyclical, and I think there was a huge golden age of concert posters in the '90s. I mean, I think obviously the '60s and the psychedelic stuff, and then '60s and '70s, and then the '90s. There was this resurgence, and it's in that real in the Kozik and all the guys in the '90s that really brought Kozik and Jermaine and Emick and all those guys. They really you know laid the table for the rest of us to kind of come in and start doing things. But the business does go through cycles, and it is a business, and it does change. And it changed certainly a lot post COVID. And the landscape has shifted, and there's new people coming in. There's new people that you're dealing with. There's a lot more merch companies now, so you're not necessarily working directly with bands as much. I fortunately do get to work directly with a lot of bands, not necessarily through merch companies, but they're generally smaller bands. But acts that we grew up with, like Wilco and Afghan Wigs and bands like that, and they're doing these kind of nostalgia tours now that they're like 30th anniversary, 35th anniversary, 40th anniversary stuff.
yeah.
And there are still people that the merch booth is still hopping, but I
Oh
totally
yeah.
get it that like you've got a stack of you've probably got a flat file and a stack of posters, and I've got three flat files and posters that are mine and posters that are other people's, and it's hard. It gets to a point where you kind of got. I thought about downsizing some of my collection and things like that. Things that aren't going to get framed and things that aren't going to be displayed. I mean, because wall space in your house is at a premium, so you only have so much you can do. I actually, my office is my day job. My office is they're moving to a new one. We're moving to a new office in a couple of months, so I had to bring home stuff that I had in my cube because we're not going to have cubes in the new office. It's going to be like one of those open concept things. So I had to bring home like my four posters that I had framed in my
Mm,
office, and now I don't have walls to hang them on. So it's kind of,
yeah.
but yeah, it's interesting the way things change, and but I'm sure that hopefully there'll be another kind of rise of the poster
Yeah.
and art like that, and I'm sure it'll definitely come around, and it'll probably change into something else. So
Yeah, probably so. And then did you say you're doing a poster for a show in Kansas?
yeah, the Wilco is playing in Salina, Kansas. So I did the poster for that show,
Gotcha.
which
That is not close to me at all.
yeah,
Um,
so yeah, it's I don't know where it is, but it was it was a fun. I always I it's just I enjoy working with them. They're just you know they're a dad rock band, and I just that's my type of sensibility. So
oh well, that's
well,
pretty
let's
awesome. Let's jump
let's
right into this
dive
because
in.
so let's first of all, I you know we are looking at a nominees list that came through that we were like, all right, this is a really solid nominees list. There was a lot of opportunities there. When it first came out, the one that the list that came out for the nominees originally was the Black Crowes, Jeff Buckley, Mariah Carey, Phil Collins, Melissa Etheridge, Lauren Hill, Billy Idol, In Excess, Iron Maiden, Joy Division / New Order, New Edition, Oasis, Pink, Sade, Shakira, Luther Vandross, and Wu Tang Clan. That was what they were voting on. Now, I want to say this. It was a total of 17 nominees originally in 2026. So, and they had to be some things. If you don't know too much about the Rock and Roll of Fame, you have to be at least 25 years in to be able to qualify. So you have to be a musician or an artist for 25 years. And then it's
Mhm,
voted on by 1,200 industry members, and a lot of those members are like anonymous. Like we don't know who they are. There's a few people
mhm,
that speak up and they say, "Hey, this is how I voted" and stuff. For the most part, they're anonymous. And then 10 of the 17 nominees that came out through this year were first time nominees. And the Majority of the genres were rock, hip hop, R&B, pop, Latin, and metal. And the Latin one was for Shakira. Um, so just to give you some kind of key factors for the nominees list, we had reached out to each other and we're like, hey, all right, let's think about what we can do here for this list, and we kind of gave our opinion about it. Now, the actual list, the inductees came out,
Mm-hmm.
and this is the inductees: Phil Collins, Billy Idol, Iron Maiden, Joy Division / New Order, Oasis, Sade, Luther Vandross, and Wu Tang Clan. And when I saw that, I said,
Yeah, what was your first thought when you saw the list?
I was like, how is Mariah Carey not on this list yet?
Exactly. And I know
This
that
is so
we
ridiculous.
must sound like we're the biggest lambs, because that's what Mariah calls her, like, fans. We must sound like we're the biggest Mariah Carey fans in the world. And we are not. I will tell you that.
No.
That was a Paul, that was a really good list, and that is something that I think that, and I think Mariah was probably on it. But
Yeah,
yeah, I
probably.
went so, and I'm big on, Anthony and I have talked a lot about this, and I'm big on stats. I mean, I want to look at certain stats. I want to look at, like, album sales and certain interesting stats that artists have. Mariah Carey, head and shoulders, has so many things that only she has done, so many things that only she's done as a woman. There are so many records and accolades and sales things that she has that just put her in this, like, class by herself. And she blows away all of these, all of the nominees as far as album sales and all of the amazing things that she's done in her career. Um, and all I have to say is the fact that this is the third year in a row that she has not gotten in. It's just criminal. It's absolutely criminal.
Here are
Um,
here are some stats for you to ponder there, and for everyone listening.
mhm.
19 number one Billboard hits, most by any solo artist as of
Yes.
today. 220 plus million records sold worldwide. 100 plus weeks at number one on Billboard charts over multiple songs. Ranked among the greatest singers ever in Rolling Stone, and it was in a top 5. She's been eligible since 2015. P.S.
If
She
there's any, if there was ever a person that should be a first ballot, like, it should have been Mariah Carey. There's no question about it.
Yeah, and so I've listened to some other voters who've
Hmm.
talked through podcasts and articles about why they didn't vote for Mariah Carey, and let's talk about some of those things, right?
Okay.
So some of the thing is the rock bias, that guitars are greater than vocal mindset. That was
Mm.
someone who said that she is more vocally driven than anything. She's not a band, she's an artist, which I would say is silly, because we'll talk about rock and roll and what that means later on and why that point is stupid.
Hmm.
Pop artists are undervalued historically. I can see that. I mean, I think that there's a lot of people, and we'll talk about this later, about what the idea of rock and roll is and what the term means and how that's
Hmm.
being held over on some people. And then
I think
commercial
that's a really good point, because I think it's being held over on some people, but not
on
across
others.
the board. Yeah.
Correct. And then commercial success isn't her taking is taken less serious for her because of other things, like someone says that her music is too commercial. And some people say that, Mariah Carey, if you think of Mariah Carey now, you think of just of her Christmas songs. And I say that's silly. I don't believe that at all.
I
And
think it's
then
that. Yeah, that's an excuse.
here's some questions for people, right? When you look at the list today, right, is Mariah Carey more influential than 50% of the current inductees? And I have an answer for that, because I would say 100%. Is she,
Absolutely. Yeah,
is she, and
without
here's
question.
another, and let me ask you this. Do you think, as of right now, I would say that the only other person we could have talked about previous to this probably would have been Iron Maiden, because I think that we have gained a knowledge base based off the fan base and the hate we got on TikTok about Iron Maiden
Well,
and why they,
let's be honest. It was the hate that I got. It wasn't you, Anthony. It was me, and I totally deserved it.
yeah. Well,
Absolutely.
is she right now the biggest snub in Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
I would have to say yes. I
I
think.
would
I
agree.
mean, and I think that, will she? She's going to get in, yes. But I think that, I mean, and let's not. I have no disrespect to Luther Vandross, and I know that we're going to talk about him later.
Yep.
But to put Luther in over Mariah is just insanity.
Well, look,
absolute
l-
insanity.
think about some of the nominees that were posted this year, and
Hmm.
like Lauren Hill. I would say Lauren Hill, potentially has some could look back and say, hey, Mariah Carey could have influenced me a little bit. I would also say,
Absolutely.
I'd also say Shakira. I would say Shakira's a big one.
Yeah.
Shakira, her
Hmm.
career, Pink, another one. I mean, there's so
Yeah.
many people that when you look at, there's definitely influence and some sort of tie-ins that Mariah Carey had. The biggest
Oh,
thing for me
absolutely.
when I think of Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, especially when it comes to the nominees or inductees, are did this person do something in the history of music that either A, is it something that they put songs out that are so catchy and so driven that we're like, man, I know who that is? Or were they an artist that say, hey, this is someone who influenced my band? They are someone that really helped
Hmm.
curve a pathway for others. They were someone that were leaders. There's so much to it. And
Hmm.
Mariah Carey really checks so many boxes. I mean,
Agreed. And we talk about that. We've talked about that a lot. The whole influence thing, and we've talked about it with other bands. Like how many people say they were. How many bands now or artists now do you say that say, man, I was really influenced by Def Leppard or Bon Jovi. And I know that
oh yeah,
I hate to sound like we pick on Def Leppard and Bon Jovi all the time, but there's plenty of other ones. Nobody's out there repping Bad Company
no,
all the
no,
time.
no, 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 no,
But
no.
no, but I mean, you look at the ones on this list. You look at Iron Maiden, you look at Joy Division, you look
Yeah,
at Mariah Carey, those are artists, and even artists that didn't get in that were on the list, on the nominee list, Lauren Hill.
yeah.
But yeah, I think that I think for me that influence portion is really important, and I think that you need. I think for me that's essential. The influence and that's how it carries on rock music or pop music or whatever into the future. It's artists that influence other artists.
There's got to be when you go to the museum, the Rock and Roll of Fame, and you see an artist, and let's say you don't know who it is, because as we get older and
Hmm.
younger people get in, yeah, I mean, and younger people visit the Rock and Roll of Fame, and they're involved in it a little bit more. There's going to be a time that separates. We're closer to it than they are. They're going to look at
Hmm.
someone like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of an artist, but let's just say for giggles, I don't know. Let's say Oasis. Okay, in 30
Yeah.
years, Oasis, let's say, is not as popular as they are right now, because right now they're definitely a nostalgia act in some sense as the way they're touring. Majority of the people in the United States seeing them, it's for their hits and their stuff. I don't know if they have
Hmm.
like the hardcore hit fan base in the States as they do overseas. But in 30
Agreed.
years, someone goes there, they can learn about them. They can see how Oasis influenced so many of the bands and what they've done and their
Hmm.
songs and movies and learn about them. There's got to be something that that band has done that really makes them stand out, right?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
that's where I think I kind of had a hard time with this inductee list this year. I mean, it's just tough. I mean, you can't tell me, right? I learned this is a crazy stat. Mariah
Hmm.
Carey has more hits than entire bands in the hall. And that percentage is 97% of the bands in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Mariah Carey
Hmm.
has more hits than 97% of the bands in Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's
How?
things like that and there was a there was a stat that I saw that really, so my wife and I had a huge conversation when the nominee list came out about Phil Collins. And
I got a good one about that one.
and we've talked before about I hold a lot of um I have a lot of interest in artists that are in the hall twice. So they get in with either, a soul, usually specifically with a band and then as a solo act. That's a very, very small list. I mean, we're talking Paul McCartney, we're
Yep.
talking Michael Jackson, we're talking like Ozzy. We mentioned Ozzy before. So I mean, it's a very rarefied air type of scenario. That's Phil Collins is now in that group. Um, One of the stats that I saw that, and Phil, he's sold a lot of records, you know, great, he had a lot of hits. Um, but he is he's one of only three people in the hall that are in with a band and a solo act and sold over 100 million albums with the band and as a solo act. And the only two people to be on that level are Paul McCartney and Michael Jackson. I mean, that is
That's
pretty,
that's
yeah,
surprising.
that's pretty significant. So, as much as we want to hate on, Phil Collins, no jacket required, man, he had bangers back in the day, and wrote a lot of songs and he's done a lot of stuff. So,
Well,
um,
I think that's what kind of brings me to my point a little while ago. Who's I'm definitely far attached from Phil Collins. Like I am, I might know maybe what was it? Did he do a Lion King song?
he did. He won an Oscar for it.
See,
Yeah, but
that's
that was kind of like the end. I mean, so since I'm about 10 years older than you don't know like Susu Studio and
I mean,
all that stuff. I mean, you've probably
I know
heard
the
it, but
song, but I'm not like I'm not jumping through hoops to put Susu Studio or Susu
well,
Studio on my
sure,
playlist.
sure. And I'm not, I'm not like pulling Phil up on my Spotify every day, but if he has, well, I mean, let's be honest, "In the Air Tonight" is like that's the Phil Collins song that everybody knows. Um, but but yeah, man, he just hit after hit. I mean, so and to just be in that level of like, in that statement of like Paul McCartney, Michael Jackson, Phil Collins. I mean,
That's
that's
a
pretty
pretty
impressive.
I would say so. And then
Yeah.
and here's the thing that makes me want to like if I went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and then the first thing I saw is like that like out of the three people you're telling me that he's in with, you're talking about
Hmm.
Michael Jackson, Paul McCartney, I'd be like, all right, let me learn a bit more. I'd be digging into that. Um, and I think that's what makes it interesting. I mean, that
I do
I'm
think, and I think that maybe that's something that, yeah, like you said, like a younger generations, like maybe they'll discover Phil Collins, and then they'll be like, oh, I want to, listen to Genesis, and that can take them back to like, you know, then get to Peter Gabriel, and then I mean, it's like these little things you go from one to the next, and in your musical exploration, and I think obviously that's super different for people nowadays with Spotify and Apple Music. It's not like it was for us. Um, but it's I think it's the same idea of kind of exploring what your tastes are and what you like, and finding those things that really get you excited about music. Maybe it's not Phil Collins. Maybe it is. Who knows?
yeah. I can't say it like I said. I have no issues with Phil Collins going in, and honestly, I don't really have an issue with any of the artists going in. I don't know much about Luther Vandross. I tried listening to some of his music the other day. Not like it's not didn't really sync with me, and that's fine. But I also feel like this is a very lazy Rock and Roll Hall of
Well,
Fame.
I think that I know that we've mentioned this before, and it's something that I think about when you don't have like there are these kind of like lull years where you don't have like a band that you don't have a Nirvana or a Pearl Jam or a band you don't have a Radiohead, like a band that's first time up, they're going in. I mean, it's a slam dunk. So they have these years where they're kind of like it seems like they're kind of making up for lost time by getting in some people. I mean, I think that one of the obvious examples is Joy Division and New Order, who have been up for like the last 3 or 4 years, it seems like, and they constantly never get in. Um, I look at them. I mean, in this list, I mean, other than Iron Maiden, to me, they are like one of a band that was like a massive influence on so many bands. Like there are so many bands nowadays, and when we were coming up, like a Nine Inch Nails. Is there even a Nine Inch Nails without a band like Joy Division or New
No,
Order? I mean, is there a Nine Inch Nails? Is there a Prodigy? Is there, you know, Daft Punk? I mean, I think that they really laid the foundation for a lot of that electronic music that came out in the late '80s, late '80s into the '90s and into the early 2000s.
that
Um,
synth rock, that synth keyboard, that
mhm.
ability to use it in a way that was unique. And listen, I know that people are going to say they're going to name another band or another artist that they're going to say is more influential, and that's fine. I think that's opinion based. But when
Yeah,
you listen to interviews like Trent Reznor the other day talking about how Joy Division was a huge influence on him and how synth rock was created and all this stuff, it all kind of lingers back to those Joy Division songs and those songs that really kind of just stand out and they stand the test of time.
yeah,
And
and it's really cool. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Control that was directed by Anton Corbin. It's about Joy Division and Ian Curtis, and they like met. They all got together at a Sex Pistols show. So I mean, what was happening at that time was punk,
mhm,
and they from their love of the Sex Pistols and other music, they found this electronic synth based you know that kind of came out of that, and that to me is really interesting, and it really shows that they were doing something completely different than what was considered, mainstream at that time, which was punk. Um, and how they just, created this whole other type of music. And there are bands that have, bands that reference Joy Division and New Order as influences. Um, Bauhaus,
Yeah.
Susie and the Banshees, U2, The Cure, Nine Inch Nails, Soundgarden. I mean, that's a band that had wide ranging influence on lots of different types of bands. I mean, even into the 90s and grunge and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
that to me is that's a big influential band, and I think you can say the same for Iron Maiden. They influenced. They've had influences to bands like Metallica, all the way up to like Avenged Sevenfold and heavy bands like that. So to me, those are the type of bands and type of artists that that have that wide influence that should require more consideration as far as I'm concerned.
Now, and there's different ways, and I know this is where I think you and me might disagree with one of these artists. There's different ways to look at how you're influential in the sense that some bands are going to be influential in how they provide a landscape for this artist or new artist to want to be a musician or create a sound based off of what they heard. And then I
Hmm.
think there's other artists that made music that was so like I guess it just stood out, and it's radio played all the time, and it's around, and it's multiple hits, and they're still
Hmm.
touring, and they're still selling at venues, and so there's different ways of looking at it because I think when I first started looking at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and really started digging into things, I was so like, and I think the older I get, the more I've changed my opinion about this, but I was so like looking into bands and stuff of like what I think should go in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and not looking at it
Yeah.
in a wider landscape of why
Hmm.
they deserve to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And I know like we talked about Iron Maiden. I think Iron Maiden, when you look at bands, there was an article that came out 2 days ago, and they talked about bands that were influenced by Iron Maiden, and they said that key musical aspects that were influenced that Iron Maiden created was a twin guitar harmonies, a melodic gallop, which is it's a signature galloping rhythm, which is widely imitated because of them, and then the
Hmm.
progressive metal structure. The songs like I guess it's called Phantom of the Opera are considered foundational for prog metal, so it's almost a genre defying way of playing things. And then the power metal foundation, that high pitched vocals and melodic speed
Hmm.
paved the way for entire metal genre. So when you look at things like that, they created so many things.
Well,
And
just yeah, the variety of stuff. I mean, they obviously influenced like the '80s, hair metal, the Hollywood hair metal scene, and all that kind of stuff. But you mentioned like the prog rock and that kind of. I mean, that's like straight up to Tool.
yeah,
So I mean, that's that's a wide ranging, and that's what I like to see. Is I like to see acts that have wide ranging influence that are influencing different types of acts in different types of ways.
yeah,
And that to me should be something that I like to see. I know that's not going to be everybody that's in the hall, but that's what I like to see. There are some people on this list that are getting in that I don't think have that.
yeah,
And we'll talk about them shortly. But yeah, there are some of these acts. I mean, I think most of them do this year. I think you can see where the influence is for a lot of these. But there are a couple that kind of stick out like sore thumbs, and we'll talk about them too.
yeah. So I will say this, and I just want to kind of go back to Phil Collins. Phil Collins, I believe, and he deserves to be in the Rock and Roll of Fame. I don't think this year was the appropriate time to put him in. I think an artist like Jeff Buckley, who right now is his
Mm-hmm.
listening is really high up since the documentary came out this year. I think
Mm-hmm.
that a lot of his music's been a lot of places. I think this would have been a good time to get him in. So I think Phil Collins took that spot from him in that sense. It
Mm-hmm.
was either giving him or Jeff Buckley. When it looks like that solo artist, male solo artist, I think that was where they missed the spot where I think Jeff Buckley fits it better, and I think that makes the list a little bit better in that sense. Iron
Mm-hmm.
Maiden, just because we kind of jumped ahead and we talked about Iron Maiden a little bit, I think Iron Maiden definitely deserved to be in this year. I think they were overlooked,
Yeah.
especially when we were kind of told to look a little bit deeper into who Iron Maiden was and what they were doing. And when you and me really started looking at the amount of albums sold, the tours being sold out all the time, the fan base that's so hot and heavy, the amount
Hmm.
of music that they've created in the sense that, yeah, it's not radio played, but the amount of things that they've done in their careers to create a sound that was so heavily mimicked and
Hmm.
consistently pushed forward, that right there alone, I mean, just shows that they were able to create something that really created that pathway for different sounds of music and new bands that come out
Yeah.
from that. And then Joy Division, New Order, I still have a hard time where they're lumping them together because
Yeah, I do too. I don't like that because I think they're two distinct sounds. I think.
yeah,
Um, I think that they're two pretty distinct sounds, and I think it's kind of. I understand why they do it, but I think it's a little disingenuous to lump them together.
yeah. But I mean, I am glad that they're both in, and I do think that
Hmm.
I mean, it did make sense. I do think that it was a little overlooked. They kept getting overlooked for years. It
Hmm.
made more sense. I'm gonna go right into Oasis. Let's talk about
Okay.
Oasis for a minute. I'm gonna say this. It's 1 year too late for me. They should have put him in
I think
last
they
year,
I think they missed the opportunity with the tour and everything. And yeah, I agree. I agree with you there.
and I
Because
just don't.
now I think. Do you think that they perform?
No,
I think last year they performed.
yeah.
I think this year I don't know if they do.
No, there was a couple of posts online from different members of the band and things that were shared. It just seems as though they're not going to perform.
Okay.
And it is what it is. Listen, I love Oasis. I know a lot of people have heavy opinions one way or the other. Some people say Oasis hasn't influenced that many. It's tough for us, and this is where I say people need to do their homework. When you look at
Uh huh.
Oasis and what they were able to accomplish when they first came out, the amount of the shows they were selling out overseas, their fan
Hmm.
base overseas. I mean, people were legitimately comparing them to the Beatles at one point, and the fan
Oh
base
yeah.
and the craze overseas.
I think
Um,
people don't realize how. I think especially American people don't realize how big they were over there and how big the whole like the Britpop scene was. And I mean, 100 million albums. They had eight number one albums, eight number one singles. I mean, over in the UK, and when they dropped something, it was the biggest thing that was going on in that country. Um, influences. I read articles. Influences from Arctic Monkeys, The Killers, Coldplay. All claim, all say that they were influenced by Oasis. So I mean, it's kind of hard to argue with you know, a band like Coldplay, who at one point may have been the biggest band in the world, you could argue, being influenced by Oasis. I mean, it's a pretty big feather to have in your cap there. So I think there isn't a question that Oasis was going to be in at some point. But yeah, I think they did miss the opportunity of the hype last year with the tour. And yeah, I don't know. I think that also that leads us to who's gonna perform at this ceremony? I mean, there are not a lot of you've
that's a
got Luther's gone, you've
yeah.
got, you know, there isn't, Ian Curtis is not alive. New Order can perform. Phil Collins is unfortunately like,
Unable
not
to.
yeah, unable to, not doing well. So I mean, this could be a really rough looking performance wise ceremony and not a lot I think we had actually texted back and forth a lot of fast forwarding I see
Oh,
going on.
a lot of long speeches, I assume. And then I
Yeah,
do
and
th-
we
I do think well, I guess we'll just bounce around a little bit, but I do think that Outcast is going to be outshined with who will have the most
oh
people on
Wu,
stage
yes, they
because
will
Wu
definitely
Tang
have the most
Clan.
people, yes,
I worry that that stage is going to collapse
to
with the amount of
collapse
people
under the
that Wu
weight of
Tang.
the Wu-Tang Clan.
That's correct.
So
The
you've got
weight.
9 people in the band, and if
Yep.
they each bring up 5 people, yeah, I mean, Outcast will lose. They
Oh,
lose
big
too
time.
many people on stage. Wu Tang will take that title, but
Well, let's kind of talk about Wu Tang Clan because I know that there
yeah.
was a lot of people that were upset with the idea of why Wu Tang Clan was in.
Well, there's
Um,
always a lot of people that
I
we've
know,
talked
I
about with
know,
the
yeah,
hip hop, the hip hop. They don't like the hip hop. They don't like the hip hop. It's not rock and roll. Well,
right.
guess what, people? I hate to tell you, I hate to break it to you, but rock and roll came out of R&B, and R&B and country is rock. To me, that's what rock and roll is. So I mean, and
Correct.
a lot of the people that invented rock and roll were black people.
Correct.
So, and hip hop came out of rock and roll, so it's all part and parcel. It's all part of the same thing. You can disagree with me,
No,
that's totally fine, but I mean, it's all part of the same game.
well, here's some interesting facts about rock and roll. We'll kind of let's because we're kind of talking about it all over. Let's talk about what the
Yeah.
idea of rock and roll is. The term rock and roll was actually created by DJ Alan Freed
Mhm.
back in
Cleveland, Ohio.
1946. Okay, and it was based off the idea of blues, R&B, and country, like you said, from the 1940s
Mhm.
through 1950s, and it was originally tied to youth rebellion and dance culture. The idea of rock and roll was really used as a like a term of like downplaying the idea of the youth rebellion that was going on with the music that was being played on the radio at that point. That, in its sense, right,
Mhm.
really was used to the idea of rock and roll was more of like almost as a youth way of being rebellious in its music and rebellious in its stating to go against the mainstream, right?
Mhm.
Now, the idea
What
that
what
people
is more against the mainstream than hip hop? I mean, let's
that's it's
yeah,
truth. And here's the thing too.
absolutely.
Hip hop has surpassed rock as a dominant US genre as of December of 2010. And
Mhm.
then realistically, genre lines have really blurred if you think about it when it comes to
I
pop
to
music.
yeah.
I mean, because there's so many artists nowadays that do so many different things. It's kind of hard to put a label on things of what it really is.
Yeah.
Um, and the idea that rock and roll is defined by instruments, I mean, that's stupid. I really think that rock and roll is defined by like attitude, influence, and like cultural disruption. Like I think
Mhm.
hip hop carries rock energy today more than ever, especially when it comes to a political landscape. Fucking, I can't
Landscape,
political
yeah. No, yeah.
landscape, and I really do feel like even pop artists have developed the idea that what rock and roll is, and kind of you know put it out there. So in my opinion, rock and roll is a mindset and definitely not a sound. And I think that rap in its own sense really started bending the idea of what people thought was rock and roll.
Mhm.
In the mid to late 90s when they really
Yeah.
started having the new metal come through, when you had artists like God, even like Tommy Lee, who left, uh, he was not with, doing what he was doing with whatever the hell that
Motley
band,
Crue.
Motley Crue, thank you,
Mhm.
and then started doing Methods of Mayhem with all the art, with all those rap artists at a time. Was
Mhm.
it good? No, Methods of Mayhem was not good, but it was a way that he showed that you can mix things together. Lincoln
Well, I
Park,
mean, yeah, new metal. I mean, Corn and Limp
yeah,
Bizkit and and System of a Down and all of these System and not Sonic Youth, but and Rage Against the Machine. I mean, we had all of those groups experimenting with this idea of hip hop mixed with rock and roll, and and it all kind of started in the mainstream with Aerosmith and Run DMC and Walk
yeah,
This Way. I mean, and there's always been hip hop has always had a connection with rock and roll. I mean, I think it goes back to that Aerosmith and Run DMC collaboration. But then it went off and did its own thing with Compton and the Chronic, and then you've got East Coast, West Coast, and then you've got all this, and then you've got the South, and you've got Outcast, and I think that those rock and roll roots run pretty deep in hip hop. I mean, like you said, with influence and attitude, and it's not just about white faces, and it's not just about guitars. It's about a lot of other things, and it's not. Yeah, rock and roll's not just It's not. I mean, even when you look at like what is one of the biggest rock and roll bands that everybody always goes to? They go to the Rolling Stones. And where did the Rolling Stones get most of their influence? From Muddy Waters and the
yep,
blues, and that's where they. So all of this stuff, it comes from R&B, it comes from the blues, and it comes from country music. And to say, which is what really annoys me when people are like, Dolly Parton shouldn't be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
she's
R&B,
she is more rock and
R&B,
roll than anybody I know.
R. If it's R&B, blues, and hip hop, it's in rock and roll, and it's a part of rock and roll.
I agree.
And you can argue that it's not, but it's kind of fallen deaf ears.
Yeah, and I think the big problem. I think everyone's saying that there should be a music hall of fame and a rock and roll hall of fame. I think that's wrong. I think rock and roll hall of fame is the idea. I think music really got culturally inspiring in the '40s, going into the earlier days of
Hmm.
the shift of even think of a swing music in that sense, where people were hiding. to dance culture to let out their feelings of what was going on during a war-driven time.
Yeah.
And then that was really the beginning of rock and roll because it was a feeling. And I think rock and roll is a feeling. So,
Well, it's a feeling, and it's that inherent rebelliousness,
yeah.
which I think is a part of it too. And where more do you see that than in hip hop as well? I mean, I think hip hop embodies all of those, rock and roll things that we talk about. So there's no, for me, it's just a natural evolution. I mean, um, and Wu Tang Clan, one of the best examples, just like 40 million albums, 36 chambers. They've all of the Wu-Tang Clan members like all had solo records. They all had to have a band like that, to have nine distinct personalities, be able to, even coexist for a couple of albums is pretty freaking impressive. Um, and then just to, still, and I think there's that staying power that still exists. I mean, they're touring to this day, so I think that idea that a band has been around for that long and still has that staying power and can still fill arenas and things like that. I think that is also something that's pretty high on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame list. Of people that get in. So kudos to Wu Tang. I think it'll be. I mean, does Dave Chappelle, eh, induct them? I
Ooh.
think there kind of has to. It kind of has, because Wu Tang is for the children, and Wu Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with. So yeah, I could see Dave Chappelle inducting them, which could be fun.
Which could be really
Um,
fun. And hopefully it's not
yeah,
like Jim
yeah.
Carrey last year.
Oh, that's exactly what I was thinking of. That was
Just
painful. It was
painful.
really painful.
Yeah, I think Wu
Um,
Tang Clan's gonna be good. And I think the other thing too, when it comes to the idea of knowing who it is, a lot of kids nowadays wear the Wu Tang. That Wu Tang symbol is still so
oh
dominant
yeah.
in
Hmm.
sales. It is still always in the top 150 band merchandise sales yearly. It's always
Really.
in the top 150 list. I'm
Hmm.
looking at the numbers now. I mean, there's stats from going all the way back to 2004
Hmm.
to 2026. They have always been in the top 150 most concert sold. I'm sorry, merchandise sold items, whether it's through Hot Topic, concerts, or through local vendors. Their merchandise is always in the top 150. Um, and they always got to remember,
What's the number one? It's got to be the Rolling Stones, right? I mean,
it changes yearly, but
okay.
this year number one they don't have for 2026 for
Okay.
2025's was Taylor Swift.
Mm, cool. Duh. That should have that I should have known that.
Yeah, well, it's okay.
Mm.
It's just different. But here's the thing: Wu Tang.
So let's who on the list of inductees are you most disappointed with?
Okay, so I told you I think Phil Collins I think took Jeff Buckley's space. I think
Yeah.
Sade took Mariah Carey's space,
Hmm.
and I think Luther Vandross probably took. I don't know if this is true to say this, but I think he took the Black Crowes space.
Okay.
And I think if you would have put Jeff Buckley in there, um, and you put Mariah Carey in there, maybe I'm okay with Luther Vandross. I still
Hmm.
think Black Crowes really are more influential than people give them credit for when it comes to that Americana
I really
rock
do
and roll
agree
sound.
with the Southern rock and
Oh
all that
yeah,
stuff. I
I,
mean, yeah.
they took what Leonard Skinner did and just made it more for us. Like I was
Yeah.
never a huge Leonard Skinner fan. I think that was for more of the more of the country listening. Where I
Yes.
think Black Rose were for the that were like, hey, I want to work on a farm,
Hmm.
but I don't want to get dirty. So that was me.
And I look at like they're just a progression of like, Leonard Skinner, Black Crows, like Kings of Leon. To me, that's
Oh yeah,
like a trajectory.
early
Um,
Kings of Leon because then Kings
Early
of
Kings of
Leon
only
fell
first
off.
two only first two Kings of Leon records for me.
I'd say first three for me. I really do.
For me it's I love the first two, and then after that I'm just kind of like eh. But no, first two fucking
Amazing.
the Southern Strokes. I'll call them the Southern Strokes for the rest of my
That's a
life.
good. That's a good one. That's a good one
I
for you.
love them. I love it. So,
So yeah. So I think that's
but
where
for
I get
me
frustrated.
it was Billy Idol. Billy Idol.
Oh
I mean,
wow.
the just the not no. He's only sold about 10 million albums, so the lowest album sales for this entire class is Billy Idol, and that's worldwide. Not a super. He's going to be my you don't hear people going, "Man, Billy Idol really turned me on to music." And no number one songs, not one number one song. His biggest hit was "Mony Mony," and I think it got to number 3. So, and I do understand that he's still around and he's still playing. Good for you, Billy. That's great. I just don't think he belongs, and it's another one of these, like, he's just out there and he's still doing it, so let's just put him in. No, I don't wanna
So
don't wanna hear it, don't wanna see it, don't wanna disappointed.
I disagree with you about Billy Idol,
Okay.
and here's why. I think when it comes to, yeah, he didn't have the numbers, but if you were to go ahead and play a playlist of the artists on here with Phil Collins, Billy Idol, Iron Maiden, Joy Division, Oasis, Sade, Luther Vandross, Wu-Tang Clan, to a general public of people at a bar where music's played
Mm,
constantly, I think Phil Collins, I say, you might get 40%, depending on the age
mhm.
range, right? Billy Idol, you play White Wedding or Dancing with Myself or Rebel Yell or Cradle of Love, most people are gonna be like,
Yeah.
I know what that song is. You
Yeah, yeah.
Iron Maiden, we understand why Iron Maiden's in. It's in for a different reason.
Sure.
Most people are gonna be like, I don't know what this is. Joy Division, yeah, most people are gonna be like, if you play the popular songs from Joy Division, Love Will Tear Us Apart,
Love
people
It
be like,
Tears
I
Us
know
Apart,
this.
yeah. Mhm.
Oasis, people are gonna probably know. Sade,
Yeah.
it's good chance most people would be like, I don't know what this is.
Smooth
But
Operator was her biggest hit in America. I mean, she was huge overseas and worldwide, but
what I'm saying is right now. Like
no,
if
no,
you
no,
had,
I get you.
yeah,
No, I get you. Yeah.
Luther Vandross, I don't know if
I couldn't
anyone's
tell you one. I know he did it
no.
like a Disney song, but I couldn't. I was reading through his song. Like I couldn't tell you one of these songs,
Yeah, and then like Wu
and
Tang
that's
Clan, I think there might be a few, but for the most part, I think most people are gonna, that are of like that 21 to
mhm.
35 range. It's gonna be hard to press to say that people are gonna really know who Wu Tang Clan is.
Yeah. They
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 they know the
they know
name,
who Wu Tang Clan is. They just don't know anything that they do,
correct?
and probably couldn't tell you other than Old Dirty Bastard. Probably couldn't tell you anybody who was in. You know,
Correct.
you and I watched Chappelle's show, and
Sure.
we can recite the entire Wu Tang Clan because
Yes.
Dave would do it all the time.
But that is why my Billy Idol push is Billy Idol made songs that stood the test of time that are still getting played on most modern rock stations to this time. There's a lot of times you go to a concert and there's
And you know what I do when they
go.
come? I turn the channel. I change the channel. So I'm gonna fucking hear it.
All right,
There's
so
got to be a better song on another station.
do you want to hear a
But
fun
no,
fact about Billy Idol and me?
you've never met Billy Idol, have you?
No, I've never met Billy Idol.
Okay.
I've never met him. But when I have only karaokeed 6 times in my life,
Okay.
eh,
Which Cradle of Love,
White Wedding,
White Wedding.
is
Okay.
what the only song, and it is at first I always regret doing it. It is such a long song, but and I still have to look at the words because I don't even know them. But it's fun. But yeah, I think that's what it comes down to. So this is one of those artists that are going to go in and people are going to recognize and know I know this song.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
could put that if you do Billy Idol on the wall between a Phil Collins and a Luther Vandross or a Sade, Billy Idol, Luther Vandross, Billy Idols, whatever. Do
I'll
something.
give you Billy Idol over Luther Vandross and Sade, but I think more people know Phil Collins than Billy Idol, but that's
Okay.
not what we're. But that's not
Yeah, no, and I
what
think
it's
that like I
about.
said, if you put a playlist out of these songs on Spotify and you had them
You're right.
and you had people that had to and you saw people that skipped the songs, I think
Hmm.
people are probably not going to skip as many times for Billy Idol as they would
Hmm.
for Sade, Luther Vandross, maybe even Wu Tang Clan. Iron Maiden is definitely something that is acquired taste, super
Agreed.
influential, super what they were able to do. Love everything
Do
about
you
that.
know? Do you know an Iron Maiden song?
Mark of the Beast, I think, is one I heard
Mark of
listened
the
to
Beat. Yeah,
today.
run through
Run
the
to the
hills is like
Hills,
that.
yeah.
That's the one. That's like the one I know. But they're like a band, and then I'm not. Don't come for me, Iron Maiden people. But I'm just saying, like that's not even like they're super sold tons of records. But like you don't even hear Iron Maiden on like classic rock stations,
No.
and it kind of surprises me that you don't. I mean, I
But
would think because
is that
they
what makes
fit in
Iron
with
Maiden
all
cool though? Is that like
that
why
could
they're fan?
be. It
I mean,
could
I think
it
that's what makes
fits
it
in with
special.
all. But I mean, it fits in with all that, all that type of music on like a classic rock station. It's just odd that you don't hear it. I mean, I don't know why, but I don't know why they don't play it. But I mean, it's strange. Like Cinderella, like you're gonna play that shit, and you're not gonna play Iron Maiden. Like Nobody wants to hear Cinderella. I mean, or
Oh,
maybe it's just that I live in Cincinnati, Ohio, and people
yeah.
here really like Cinderella. I don't know,
What's that one
but
art? What's that? I wanna know what love
oh,
is.
that's Foreigner. Who
Is
didn't they
it?
get in last year?
Oh,
Wasn't it
gosh.
last year, Foreigner? I think we probably I know I complained about that. Oh, no, last year was Bad Company. Foreigner might have been the year before.
Yeah.
Fucking Foreigner. Yeah, Foreigner was the
Fucking
year
foreigner.
before. And the other thing is they're not even touring. It's a group of guys that have paid to, like, license the music, and they tour as Foreigner. Not one of the original members of the band is even with them. So, that
Yeah.
whole that whole thing.
Well, so I think we all can agree that's a problem. But
It is, but so let's see. So we've Billy Eilish. Okay, so let's talk. I know we've talked a little bit about Luther.
yep.
Let's talk about Sade.
Okay.
I do think she is. She has had staying power. She's been around for a long time, influential with hip hop and R&B. I get that. I'm sure she's made a lot of music that have made a lot of babies. That's great.
Oh.
They don't. That's not a statistic that they keep, but she sold 75 million albums worldwide. She's huge. Smooth operator. Everybody from the 80s knows 80s, 90s knows smooth operator. But so this is one thing that I had thought about, especially with Luther. So I don't think Luther belongs in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's not because he's an R&B singer. I just don't think he's influential on the level that I think that he should be to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I thought, is there an I thought R&B Hall of Fame? Yes, absolutely. Is there an R&B Hall of Fame? As a matter of fact, there is. It's called the National R&B Hall of Fame, and he is in it. So as far as I'm concerned, Luther's covered. But Sade, she's British. She can't be in the National R&B Hall of Fame because she's not American. But
Isn't that just fucked?
isn't that just it? And but I still, I see the influence. I see, but I think I go back to the, you're gonna. I mean, what has Mariah Carey done to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, people? Because putting Sade in and not her is just like, just like doing horrible things to Mariah Carey. I mean, it's like just peeing on her for no reason.
I
I
hope
mean, it
when she
makes no
gets in,
sense to
she
me.
doesn't even fucking go. She's like, fuck you.
I kind of get that. I kind of feel like yeah. I mean, they're just that's just like thumbing your nose at Mariah. You're just like, yeah, we're gonna put Sade in and not you. And yeah, I hope she doesn't go because she could just take her $2 million that she makes for her Christmas song every year, and you know she can go do whatever she wants because Mariah doesn't need the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but
No,
she did.
but she
But
should.
she should be in there. She should be in there. And I
Fucking
just want to clarify again, Anthony and I are not members of the Mariah Carey fan club.
Yeah,
We're not
we
lambs.
do get a lot of fucking people on TikTok that are like, "You guys must be the biggest Mariah Carey fans." I can't even
Not
tell you
at
I
all.
don't
I
even the last
mean,
time I listened to a song.
the only song I can tell you by, I mean, I know some Mariah songs, but that one that she does with Old Dirty Bastard, like, Sweet Sweet Fantasy. Me and Mariah go back like babies and pacifiers and all that stuff. I mean, but yeah, we are not running a Mariah Carey underground Mariah Carey fan club or
No,
anything like that.
no. I think for us, it's just
We
we
just
when
recognize
yeah. I mean,
we recognize the influence.
there's some bands that I don't believe are like I'm not a big fan of, but I still believe they belong in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and the fact they keep getting overlooked is one of those things where it's like you start questioning what what the hell does it take to get in?
Well,
And this is where I also think like this is where like all these Hall of Fames, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, NFL Hall of Fame, all these things
mhm,
are absolutely dumb because I really do feel like there's some people that just kind of start they're the reason why they want like they're just so like power hungry that they are the reason why certain things aren't happening.
that they can
And
be like these tastemakers and they can, like,
oh
and then, we've talked about this before. This batch of people that are getting in under musical influence.
oh yeah.
How many musical influences were there this year? I mean, how many people? So yeah, so there were the people. that were on the list, like we talked about. So Black Crowes, Mariah, Jeff Buckley, who were all up for induction, Lauryn Hill. None of them get in, but then some of the people that get in under musical influence weren't even on the list. And this is no disrespect, MC Light and Queen Latifah, and
Yeah.
I mean, Queen Latifah, okay, I see it, you know, but then you've got like, I mean, there this year there were a lot more musical influence or inductees than previous, and that was just really surprising to me. That it just seemed to be like there are almost as many musical influence inductees as there were performance inductees.
And do you think that's because of the fact that a lot of the actual inductees are not going to perform and they needed to fill in that void?
That's an excellent point. I didn't even think about that. That's entirely possible because, yeah, I just don't. Yeah, I mean, it could be. It could absolutely because I do think I do think it's going to be a disappointing induction ceremony. I mean, and I love like the packages and where you hear about other people talk about them and the people that are getting in. I enjoy that kind of stuff. But I mean, I think it really comes down to like the performances and I think it's unless they do something really interesting, I think it's lining up to be not really exciting.
No, I was excited to watch last year, and I know that we watched it live, and I think a
Oh
lot of it had
yeah,
to do with the White Stripes, and Soundgarden. I think those two
yeah,
really solidified us as a must watch. And
yeah.
it was a long watch.
Well, it's
Oh,
always a yeah,
oh,
it's always a bit of a slog. This year is just going to be hard,
I
hard to
very much agree with you on
yeah.
that one.
But I mean,
So,
yeah, there were performances last year I think that we were looking forward to, and but yeah, this year you just and even you know, like, Outkast. I think we talked about it. The Salt and Pepper performance was awesome.
oh,
Um,
100%. It blew me
yeah, it
away.
was great.
I was not expecting that at all.
Me neither, and it was so good. And yeah, I just oof, it's just shaping up to be uh, just a slog, a real rough one.
Yeah, and
So,
you know what kind of upsets me a little bit too. I know we were and talking going back to like I was looking at past inductees and years and
mhm,
stuff, and I forgot Nine Inch Nails got in during that year where like it was during COVID and did the live stream. I would
yeah,
have loved to have seen like some other bands perform Nine Inch Nails and to really give them a true like
mhm,
honor. It was kind of it was a really shit way of like letting them get in.
yeah.
I mean, but
Well,
it
I
is
was
what it
thinking
is.
about for some reason I thought about because I mean, obviously last year we had the White Stripes and Soundgarden, and this year I was like, you know, this would have been a nice year to have like a grunge band, you know, get in one of those get in like an Alice in Chains. Like this is a year for an Alice in Chains. Did you see the when Mopop did that Alice in Chains thing a few years ago, and they had different bands doing Alice in Chains songs?
Yeah, it
That was awesome.
was amazing.
I thought that was really cool, and that would be something that would be interesting to see, something along those lines where you have different acts doing I think they did a good job last year with the White Stripes and
Well,
minus
let's
21 Pilots,
let's
minus the 21 Pilots.
Twilight Pilots was
But
god awful.
oh, yeah, but I thought We're Gonna Be Friends with Olivia Rodrigo and
Feist.
was it Neat yeah, Feist. I thought that was great. Um, but yeah, I would've I would I see, I like to I do see these types of years as kind of like making up for lost time. I would have loved to see like Alice in Chains or the Pixies or somebody like that, somebody that's been sitting around for a long time and you know hasn't gotten in, you know, get them in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah,
But
Jeff Buckley pissed me off. I really think that Jeff Buckley deserved it. I really think Jeff Buckley deserves that his family and the idea of what Jeff Buckley is. He really needs his space in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I think that he influenced so many people, and it's sad. I recently watched his documentary, and he
if you
lived.
haven't seen that
Oh,
documentary, watch it. It's fucking heartbreaking, and it's a really great documentary
oh
just
yeah,
in and of itself. But his story was just so so sad,
yeah.
such a sad life, but such a freaking talent. I mean, I think that people talk so much about his voice. He was a phenomenal guitar player
Oh yeah, and writer.
and an insane songwriter. Just a great like you can put on that Grace record today, and it sounds so it's timeless. I think it
Agree.
really it's timeless. It sounds new and different and as many times as you've heard it.
And
Um,
and
I
I will s-
can't. Yeah.
and I will say this: there's a couple of artists I've written down that I think that have been overlooked for way too long that deserve their moment in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame based off of how they've influenced others and the landscape of things. And one of them fits that category that you were talking about: Michael Jackson, the Phil Collins, and the Paul McCartney.
Hmm.
And that is going to be Robert Plant. I don't know why Robert Plant's been overlooked as a solo artist. I think Robert Plant has done a lot in his career as a solo
That's
artist.
a really good point. Yeah, especially with the stuff that he's done recently with Alison Krauss. But I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
his solo stuff
still doing
and
it to this day. I mean, and if
yeah.
you can't fucking tell me there ain't not a damn person that could watching this or listening that can tell me that he is not an influential artist that paved the way for so many solo and
Oh.
artists and so many
Hmm.
bands. Um, and then I'll go through my list real quick. Styx, another band. I'm not a huge Styx fan, but they had so many hits on the same level as almost Billy Idol in the sense that they have music out there that people know that are played out all the time. I don't know why they're getting overlooked. Lenny Kravitz is someone that is an amazing singer, songwriter, guitar player, instrument. I mean, he just did a lot for music, especially in the 90s going to
Hmm.
2000s. Motorhead's another one that was another band similar into the idea of
Yeah.
that Iron Maiden, where they're not radio played, but they were something that they were able to create a sound in a way that music was being played that really opened the doors for so many other bands to create music because of what Motorhead was supposed to be able to do.
Hmm. Hmm.
The Smiths is another band that I think of when you look about the 80s,
Yeah.
the music that they created, what they were able to accomplish, the longevity of that music, how it's played out, the movies that it's been a part of, the
Hmm.
soundtracks, everything. That's another one. Devo is another one that
Devo is
yeah,
high on my list.
they just
I love
created.
they're from Ohio, but yeah, Devo, and just yeah, they're still around, but the influence I think is I mean influence. You can see them in
Huge.
bands like Primus
Oh
and
yeah.
Pussifer and stuff like that. But yeah, Devo is just uh, uh, it's way overdue for Devo.
And then one last one I have on the list that this is an artist I'm not even a fan of, don't even care about. And he's not really rock and roll. And the idea that he's not a rebellious artist, he's not really fits a genre that, but he is a country artist that has really had chart topping hits his entire career. He was able to do things with career changes when he did different
Ooh,
personalities and stuff.
ooh, ooh! Can I guess?
Go ahead.
Garth Brooks.
100%.
And you know
How
what?
many? Yes.
So I have seen Garth Brooks live,
Huh?
and I don't even like that music. He is fantastic. He is a heck of a showman. I would
How?
call him the country Bruce Springsteen
Oh, that's
because
ooh.
because he
Okay.
is yeah he's like he's it's like a religious like revival thing going on. I mean yeah, I mean even with the all that what was it, Chris Gaines crap.
I don't know what the hell it was.
Dude
Something
can
it
dude
was
can
like it was
dude
emo
yeah
emo Garth Brooks.
dude can write he's a great songwriter, great performer. Yeah, yeah,
So yeah,
hell of a show.
how many weddings have you gone to where you put your arm around the buddy next to you? Might be a little tipsy, you might not be, but then
Friends in low places. Yeah,
friends in low
there you go.
places. Everyone thinks they can sing that song. Everyone just knows the chorus. Nobody knows what the rest
Yeah.
of the fuck he's saying.
Well, and so there's so when I saw him in I think it was probably the mid to late '90s. There's like a third chorus to that song, or there a third verse to I had no idea what it was, and all these people, everybody knew the words, and I'm like, I don't know what you're singing, but yeah, there's like a third verse to Low Places, and yeah, you could sing it all night long, but yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, and who knows if people would be like, oh, it's country and blah 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 blah. You know, uh, yeah,
You know what I say to them? Fuck you. That's it.
yeah. I mean, Garth Brooks. I also just a huge. He was a huge star, crazy influential. I mean, probably influenced an entire generation of country performers. I mean, look at
100%.
I look at. I think probably a huge influence on Taylor Swift, just with
Oh
her
yeah.
stuff and kind of doing the country and then doing the pop and being able to cross over and kind of straddle the lines and not have to be like a, just a straight up country artist. Absolutely.
I agree. It's
But I would
interesting.
love to see I would love to see Alice in Chains and I like we said, Alice in Chains, the Pixies, Devo. Um, are the Cars in? Have the
Um,
Cars gone? I love the Cars,
I'll find out.
but yeah, and we've got it. There are going to be there's '90s bands that we
2018.
can yeah, but there are '90s bands that are definitely I think we're getting to the point where all of the like big '90s bands
Pretty
are
much
just
in.
are just about in. I think the Alice in Chains is probably one of the last ones that you're just like,
Smashing Pumpkins is not in.
I have issues with the
I know,
Smashing
I know, I know,
Pumpkins.
I know, but it's you got to think about how they influence other artists, the songs, how they carried through. There's so
See, I
much
don't
more to
know.
it.
I don't know if they did influence other artists as much as we think they did.
Let me do a Goggle search when it comes
Okay,
to
yeah. Although
the
I gotta admit, I was listening to Gish. I've listened to Gish a couple times recently, and I Gish and Siamese Dream to me are just freaking amazing. But Billy kind of rubs me the wrong way a little bit.
Okay, here we go.
But he's a okay.
Bands that have said they were influenced by Smashing Pumpkins in an interview: Silver Sun Pickups, My Chemical
Oh
Romance,
yeah, Silver Sun Pickups.
Deftones, Muse, Fall Out Boy, Paramore,
Mm.
and a band called Hum. Chevelle, Panic at the Disco, Jimmy Eat World. I think I've said them all. Yep,
Did you say a band called Hum?
Hum.
You don't know Hum?
Maybe I don't. Maybe I do.
Oh, you gotta listen to Hum. They did this song called Stars. They were like, post grunge kind of.
Okay.
They're freaking amazing. Their first two records are great. But
Yeah, and
yeah,
they're
anytime I see something on TikTok where they're like, name a band that you think should have been bigger than they were. Hum. Hum should have been
okay.
I thought they should have been like freaking huge, but
Adding it
they
to
were
the
like
list to listen to.
nerdy math rock kind of stuff.
We'll have to dig deep into that. Now, I have a couple talking points I want to do before we get to the end of the show. A
Yeah.
couple things. One of them is we're going to talk about. I do see, and this kind of goes back to your original point in the beginning of the show when you were talking about posters and this new wave of how things are listened to and diverged, and this new wave of fans coming through and what they're listening to. One thing that I have realized recently is this huge increase in female lead singers in the alternative rock world, and even I saw an artist this weekend called CMAT. I'm not sure if you're familiar with her.
No,
Um,
uh-uh.
she is a female singer from Ireland. She tours as Euro country. Um,
Hmm.
I don't know if I'd say that. It's poppy rock. I don't know. It was so much fun. I had a blast.
Mhm.
But
You
I'm
saw
looking.
her live?
Oh yeah, I saw. I
Okay.
this Brad and his wife Sam came out this weekend for my birthday, and we went
Oh, cool.
to go see her in Lawrence, and it was fantastic. It was a
Great.
fun show, fun show.
Mhm.
But there are artists right now like Wet Leg, Lambrini Girls, Olivia Rodrigo,
Yeah.
Chaperone, Paramore. Um, uh,
Hayley Williams.
I mean, Mannequin Pussy. So many
Mm.
different artists that are really leading this like
Amyl and the Sniffers.
oh
Yeah.
Wolf Alice. I mean, there's
Wolf Alice. Yes.
so many of these amazing women-led artists that are really, first of all, for me, once again, having a daughter that
Mhm.
plays music, I want her to be able to see that on stage. I've said that so
Yeah.
many times. It's important, whether it's music she likes or she doesn't like. I just want her to see a presence of that. But when
Mhm.
you looked at this past weekend's or the last couple weekends Coachellas and
Oh.
seen these artists that really just really stood out, it was a lot of female artists that really
Mhm.
took the damn stage. Wet Leg's performance at
Mm.
Coachella was monumentally amazing. What she was able to accomplish and how she handled the stage, took that microphone and just had people on the edge of their feet the entire thing. It just shows what is so amazing with this rejuvenation of rock and like alternative music that is really just playing popular right now. It's so popular right now. I
The
mean, I went
evolution of Wet Leg from their first the aesthetics of their first record, which was kind of like this cottage core thing, to this second record, the aesthetics of the second record with, you know, is it Rihanna? Is her first name the lead singer? Just
Oh,
with she's so been so more like powerful, and it's just been powerful and aggressive, and just a complete like 180 from the first record aesthetics, which were like I said, it was like cottage core and all kinds of stuff. Really interesting. I just think really interesting. The songs are still great. Um, but yeah, I really like this kind of like this like female power, kind of like a an extension of like the Riot Girl thing.
mm,
I think is really really interesting with what they've done, and especially her performance style is really been cool. I thought Sabrina Carpenter's like that was cool. That was
yeah.
just really, all the huge production and all that stuff. I thought that that was great. It was fun. She's got good songs. I mean, she's a really great performer. So I thought that that was really cool. But yeah, I think it's really interesting to see. And you've got like Bikini Kill is still touring. They're touring in the fall. It's really cool to see um, a lot more female fronted and female um, centric bands out there, especially for like just for young women, and just to see different perspectives out there. It's really really cool, and it's definitely it's definitely different than Riot Girl, but it's really interesting the way it's these different acts are doing it their own way.
Yeah, I just think we're really heading into a new golden era for like women fronted bands and how they're really taking a stand and people are listening, and I really can enjoy that. Um,
It reminds me kind of like the whole Lilith Fair thing,
oh yeah.
and Sarah McLachlan and all that stuff, and it'd be really cool if they did like some sort of a female package tour type of a thing. That would be really cool. But I mean, you've got like you said, Mannequin Pussy. They're opening up for Foo Fighters, and a lot of different bands are getting a lot of female led bands are getting
A lot of
a lot
attention.
of exposure. Yeah, it's
I
great.
mean, like I said, Coachella was a really big eye opener. Now, I will. There's another thing when I want to talk about with Coachella is, you know, a lot of artists will have a moment when it comes to a festival. Jimi Hendrix at Woodstock playing
Hmm.
the Star Spangled Banner, waking people up.
Hmm.
Um, when you look at like even Woodstock '99, fucking burning it down with
Hmm.
Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Red Hot Chili
There's
Peppers.
always
Yeah.
these moments, and one of them that always stuck out to me was in 1994 when Nine Inch Nails came out in the mud and performed what was
Mm,
this this welcome to mainstream, listen to me, all eyes on me moment
absolutely.
that really defined a different push for what Nine Inch Nails would become because
Hmm.
this was coming right on the heels of them touring with David Bowie. This was
Hmm.
right on the heels of them really starting to be more experimental in their music. It really was this huge like moment for Trent
It
Reznor,
was
and
like
that
this
is
coming out party. It
oh,
was this,
100%.
and the whole thing with the just all of the optics with the mud and all that stuff, and how they just that to me is like, and I'm fortunate to have seen Nine Inch Nails several times, but in that era, but that's like the quintessential Nine Inch Nails performance, I think, especially that '94 era. You've got Trent, and he's all skinny, and they're all covered in mud, and they're smashing shit on stage
Oh,
and
yeah.
running into each other. It's like this idea of controlled chaos, and I think I know where you're going, but what he did with Nine Inch Noise at Coachella, it's like a it's kind of the same thing. It's this like setting the stage for what the next evolution of like Nine Inch Nails um could become.
Well, it's interesting to me in the sense that it's hard to get one moment, right? Like
Yeah.
everyone, you might go to a festival and like, wow, that was fantastic, that was a good show,
Hmm.
but after a while, it kind of fades into it was just a festival show, right?
Hmm.
1994 Woodstock, Nine Inch Nails stole that show. I mean, I don't
Oh,
really
absolutely.
remember many of the other things that happened in 1994 Woodstock. Now, Coachella, it came out. Boys Noise was going to be performing with Nine Inch Nails. I got to see the first and second leg of the Peel It Back tour,
Hmm.
and it was amazing. It was probably one of the best live experiences, visually stunning. It was just something out of this world. it was definitely a rejuvenation for Trent Reznor based off of what Boys Noise was supposed to do, and really bringing in something new. Seeing him remix the songs on stage with Trent
Yeah.
and Atticus it was just something different. I didn't know what this was going to be at at Coachella, and I was excited
Hmm.
for it because I'm like, oh, it might be like they did on the small stage where they come out. The
Yeah.
fact they had it was almost like watching a Broadway show where you had
Exactly.
Trent
Yes.
Reznor's wife in this like and Trent Reznor and Boys Noise and Atticus Stone in this pyramid thing and these
It
people
looked
in
like a
this
spaceship, and
oh
the people were crawling around it. It made me think of like 2001: A Space
oh
Odyssey, and
yes.
like Stanley Kubrick and all this shit, and just the cool music going on. I mean, they're playing these, and that they were going back to like songs like Heresy and songs from the Downward Spiral that they didn't even really play live back then. I
Yeah.
mean, Heresy wasn't ever on set list.
No.
But to see those songs live again and be remixed and to sound so good, and to see him singing them with such passion, and it was really, I was excited. I mean, other than Jack White the first weekend
Oh
at
yeah.
Coachella, like, what, and Jack's always freaking crazy, but
100%.
that but yeah, those Boys Noise, the Nine Inch Noise sets were just
Always
unreal.
so
And that
visually
they were
stunning.
so and that they had toured with Boys Noise, like you said, for these two legs of the Peel It Back tour, and that this was
Yeah.
completely different.
Yep.
And that to me was like a huge statement from Trent. Like, this is something, like, we're doing something completely different. And
And he'll never do it again. I
yeah,
I will tell
and
you when they did he did his first show.
mhm,
The next day, Olivia Rodrigo was interviewed and said something like, "This was the best concert I've seen in my lifetime," and
mhm,
then said, "I cannot wait till they tour with it." And then Trent Reznor came out. I think it was Spin Magazine interviewed both of them,
mhm,
and he's like, "No, this is we're only doing this for these 2 weekends. This is not something we're going to tour with." He said, "I'm going into the studio the Monday after Coachella is over, and we're going to be working on the new album and figuring things out from there." I looked into a fucking flight to go to California after watching.
yeah,
I'm not fucking with. I'm dead serious.
yeah,
The only thing that held me back was it wasn't the cost of the flight or the cost of ticket. It was I knew for a fact there was gonna be more people going to that stage,
mm,
and it was gonna be a nightmare. And they did say that they had to pull up the tarps on the side because it was like in an enclosure
uh-huh,
because there was too many people trying to get to watch the set, and it was
mhm,
absolutely amazing. And I really
yeah, it
wanted to
was
go.
really cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but it is rare to have something that is in a sense this I would say in 5 years time people are going to look back at this and it's going to be this set will be what stands out. People I think a lot of things are forgettable. I think they're fun in the moment, they're fun in the time.
yeah, no,
But
no, I think that what I saw of Coachella, this was the moment. Like, this was the moment of both of those weekends. It was just something that and for them to say that they're not going to do it again, that makes it even more special. I think
100%.
you're just like, yeah. And um just what I it's so it's so cool to see Trent, still doing this stuff. I mean, still doing what he loves to do and doing it incredibly well.
Yeah.
um and know that he's, like, he's clean and he's sober, and he's not, I mean, we could have Trent Reznor could easily not be here right now.
I
So, I
totally agree
mean,
with you.
yeah, exactly. So, um, we should all be, very fortunate that we get to see this, because it's a really, really cool evolution of Nine Inch Nails and of just him as an artist, because can he do anything I mean, does he do anything bad? Like,
No.
seriously, I mean, he
No.
does film scores and all these, and all these things. It's just, yeah, it's really great to see him, just to see him evolve and kind of blossom as an artist, and to keep changing and keeping things fresh.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I will say this is what brings me to tie into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I think that there are moments to define the idea of what rock and roll is.
Hmm.
I think that the Woodstock 94 performance that Nine Inch Nails did at Woodstock is a moment that should be almost have its own little area at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I
Hmm.
think having um, New Radicals play at Joe Biden. Was it Joe Biden or Obama?
I think it might have been Obama.
Might have been Obama. Play, you get what
You
you
get what you
give.
give. Yeah.
Yeah, Bruce Springsteen, playing after 9/11. There's so many moments that stick out as defining moments in the history of music and rock and roll that I think are more important than an artist getting in per se, because I think
Hmm.
sometimes it's a moment that can push someone. There could be a kid on a stool or on a couch watching that 1994 Woodstock moment, and that was the moment he realized he wanted to be a musician. Or there
Oh yeah.
might be a song or a moment that ties you to a moment in time that was
Hmm.
important to the evolution of American history or
Hmm.
world history and stuff like that. And I think that makes sense to be in as an inductee or in a moment and stuff like that. I know it sounds silly, but I do think that there are moments in time that are more defining than actual artists performing. And I think like moments like I said, 1994 Woodstock, that always sticks to me as something that will always be around. Jimi Hendrix playing the Star Spangled Banner when he was late to Woodstock to wake everybody up is something that
Yeah.
really should be around.
Well, it's
Um,
it's 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 something that's like it's kind of taken on a life of its own,
yeah,
and it's more than just kind of like that moment. Um, obviously the background of of Jimmy and the Star Spangled Banner was obviously the Vietnam War, and when he played the guitar, at some points people thought it sounded like gunfire or airplanes flying and things like that. And I think you look at Woodstock '94 and the Nine Inch Nails performance. I mean, there was a lot of anger, and there was a lot of, I think, well, I mean, obviously it was the '90s, there was angst. That was what we were all about. But and it was just about kind of, I think that performance was kind of vicariously, we could get that angst out by watching them just trash everything and still play this really great music and really kind of embody that anger and angst of the '90s, and then kind of give it back to us.
I agree.
Um, it's a really, but it's a really. I mean, I watched that performance every couple of months, just kind of regularly, because I remember watching it on TV. I did the pay-per-view and all
Pay
that
per
shit,
view.
and
That's right.
yeah, watched the Nine Inch Nails on the pay-per-view. But but yeah, it was one of those things. It's like indelible. It's just like you can't. It's kind of burned on your brain. It's like the first time I saw Pearl Jam on Saturday Night Live, and I was just like, I gotta get that record. And we don't have a lot of those. I
Not
think
anymore.
that those moments now are kind of few and far between, because everything seems so accessible.
Yeah.
It's like you don't see a lot of those things, and we're so connected to a lot of the stuff that's going on that you kind of don't have those moments. But I think you're right. I think that performance at Coachella is definitely kind of one of those moments. It's just kind of this defining moment, that we'll look back on and be like, wow, that was a really cool, change of direction for Nine Inch Nails, and who knows what they'll become after that.
Yeah. All
Mhm.
right. We're gonna go into a rapid fire question for you. You ready?
This is where I get in trouble, but yeah, go ahead.
Okay, and you gotta be quick with it. No long answers, just quick
No
answers.
thinking.
No thinking. The most deserving 2026 nominee that ended up being an inductee for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was or
Iron
is
Maiden.
biggest snub ever in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as it goes.
Mariah Carey.
Mariah Carey gets in next year, yes or no?
No.
Most rock and roll artist alive right now.
What?
The most rock and roll
Oh,
artist,
the most rock and roll artist alive right now, Jack White.
Jack. Best Coachella performance of since Coachella came out.
Since Coachella came out. Ugh. I'm gonna go Rage Against the Machine.
Ooh, good one. Most overrated Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee.
Bad Company.
Female artist dominating over the next decade is
Ooh, the next decade. Wow. You know what? I don't even know if we've seen her yet. I think
oh,
there
okay.
could be somebody, yeah, that we haven't
Okay.
even seen yet.
Oh, hey, I dig it. And then do you think there'll be a future Hall of Famer under the age of 35?
Ooh, under the age of 35. Um, well, can't be Taylor Swift because she's already
Mm-mm.
almost
You'd
35.
have to have started in the music industry at 10 years old.
Oh, I'm gonna say no.
Okay. I like the only one I can think of is Miley Cyrus, which would have been
Yeah,
Hannah
yeah,
Montana.
that's mhm,
All right, so let's just our final takedown. So the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame still matters because it sparks debate. It's going to bring
mhm,
up conversations. It's what really matters when it comes to this. This is why we've been doing this show for fucking 5 years. This is why we continue doing these. Even though we don't do shows consistently, which I'd like to do more of, we
mhm.
always make sure we have our yearly Rock and Roll Hall of Fame bitching match.
I love to talk about the Rock Hall. It's so much fun, and my wife hates to hear me go on and on about it. So,
Well,
Anthony will listen.
that's right. I'm always here
He'll
for
be
you,
my
buddy.
sounding board.
That's right. The Rock and
Hey,
Roll did.
so
Go ahead.
I saw the Michael Jackson movie this weekend.
Oh,
Yes,
thoughts.
it wasn't bad actually for what it was. I mean, I'm not watching it for like factual stuff, but for what it was, I thought Jafar Jackson, who plays Michael Jackson, was fantastic. I thought he was really, it was really a great performance. I don't think it was a, um, he really embodied Michael Jackson with the voice was fantastic. The mannerisms, he had the whole thing down. I thought it was more of an embodiment of Michael Jackson than than an impersonation.
Okay.
Um, and it made me think about how much those Michael Jackson songs, man, they just how much they were like everywhere. I
Hmm.
mean, Michael Jackson was like the biggest star in the world,
Yeah.
and Thriller and those records and those songs were just all over the place. So I mean, it was all right. It wasn't terrible. I didn't have super high expectations, but I really enjoyed it.
Oh, all right. I
But
haven't
then
seen
we
it yet.
went to see my son and I went to see Project Hail Mary. Have you seen that?
So okay. I am working in Des Moines, Iowa tomorrow. I don't know if you
Okay.
follow along with my random
I know that
itinerary.
you do like to go to the movies.
Oh, I love going to old movie theaters. And
Yeah.
there's an art house in Des Moines, Iowa, that was just recently renovated. It's beautiful. It's a
Oh,
25
cool.
seater. So I have got tickets to go see Project Hail Mary tomorrow, in this thing. So I'm really excited about seeing that.
Oh, so good. It was great.
Okay, good. I'm
5
I'm
stars. It
excited.
was awesome.
Oh, there's
Take
there's
some
there's
tissues.
oh good God.
Are you a
Yeah.
crier in
Oh my God.
movies?
I am a crier at everything. I
Okay.
TikTok knows, like, for some reason, like, they're going to fuck with me. Like God, I cry all the
Is it
time.
animal videos or is it
Oh
like,
no, it's
stuff
like,
with like dads and daughters?
oh,
It's dads and
dads and
daughters, isn't it?
daughters,
Yeah.
an art like someone like performing for the first time and getting
Oh,
recognized.
mhm.
Like, soldiers coming home will get me every
Oh, yeah.
time. There's
Mhm.
just so much. I don't know. I just, I think the older I get, the more I'm rooting for other people to do so well. I think I felt growing up, I was always like, I got to be better than someone, or I got to do better than this person, or I get to get along. I got to be the top person and stuff.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and
Mhm.
the older I get, the more I'm just like, man, I just want to see more people succeed. Like I just want
That's
more
nice.
for other people. And I think
Yeah.
that is when you're just happy to see other people happy and or doing
Mhm.
well. And yeah, I cry. I mean, I get, I don't know. I can get a whole speech, but yeah, no, I cry
I
for
mean, take
everything.
some
But yeah,
tissues.
I will take tissues and thank you for
You
telling
should.
me. Or
Yeah.
or my sleeve of my just
Yeah,
like
just
shirt.
yeah, something to
I'll
wipe yourself on.
I'll come out. I will say this. There's one movie in particular that I remember that I don't recall ever seeing so many people walking out of the theater just bawling. And it was that Will Smith movie where knew he was dying and he wanted to donate all of his body parts to certain people. So he was
Mhm.
meeting all the people he was donating his body parts to.
Is it
And
The
then at the
Pursuit
end
of
of the
Happiness?
is it no Pursuit of Happiness is when he was
No.
the lawyer.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
what's the Will Smith movie? Donates body parts. Donates organs. Let's see. 7 pounds.
Oh, okay.
It came out in 2008.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't. I mean, I was like, like I was like trying to hold it all together. It is like it is. It is that is one where I've only watched it once. It's almost like Marley and Me.
Yeah.
Marley and Me is another one where I'm like, I like even thinking about it like gets me emotional. Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
a one. You can only watch a movie once. Like
Uh-huh.
people who
Uh-huh.
watch that movie more than once are just torturing themselves.
Yes, exactly.
Oh
Yeah, I
fucking.
know what you mean.
Oh, it's just brutal. But yeah, so I'll go do that. So I'm looking forward to eating some decent popcorn and doing that, working in Des
Nice.
Moines, and then yeah, it should be a halfway decent time. but we will
Good.
have to figure out the next list and get this rolling. So
Absolutely.
there will be more show announcements coming up. I do know that Let's Talk Vinyl, there will be an episode next week. There will be another show announcement for a new show coming out in a few days. And then we'll just be kind of getting back into it. And I think what we're going to do with Touring Fan Live, we'll continue doing what we're doing now. We'll run shows all the way through the month of December, and then we'll take off from January through March because it is just taxing. There's just so much that gets involved into doing these shows, and I just had to take a break from it because it was a lot. But I am always so glad to do this, especially with you, Brian. It is crazy to think that I have done podcasts with you in some sort of sense. The first time you were on any of my podcasts was back in 2018 when you did my first episode of a podcast ever. You were my first guest of any show when I did Tap Time with Anthony, and you came on and we talked posters, project
Oh,
posters. And it is
yeah.
crazy to me to think that was 8 years ago. No,
Yeah, I
2000.
know. It's
Oh,
where does the time go?
it's too quick. That's when you said your daughter is graduating high school. I was like, God, it was
Or
like
college.
college.
Yeah.
Oh, God,
Oh my
fuck. That was,
God. Yeah.
but
It's wild.
it is. It is. It is. I think the one thing, um, it's like, you can't. The one thing that makes us human is that like we all don't realize how quickly time goes by, and it's you want to buy more time of it, but nobody can. So you have to appreciate the moment you're in, and
Hmm.
yeah, it's kind of like what did Andy say in The Office? Like, I wish I knew when the good times were going on so I can appreciate them more. Like that I was
Yeah.
living in the good times at that time.
Hmm.
So it's fucking crazy. But anyway,
It is.
I am excited. I think so. I think we'll look forward to the next Rock and Roll Fame. Send me some messages of what you want to do for the next episode. But
Will do.
until then, anything else you want to say before we bounce?
No. Thanks everybody for listening. Appreciate it.
Until next time, this is another unnecessary list.